Can you tell us the complete process of how you obtained a Google PhD fellow and what exactly its benefits are?
Google PhD requires a research proposal. Three things, the most important. In the very first place, it comes research proposal. So in PhD, one general tip for anyone who is pursuing PhD, I would say to pursue a topic which is niche, which has not been explored much, which has the potential to be hot. So as a growing field, I feel there are competitions going in, pumping in a lot. So the thing is, we need to be more creative. And I think PhD lays the foundation of creativeness.
Welcome everyone to the third episode of Tayog. My name is Himanshu. I'm a sophomore at IIT Hyderabad and I'll be your host for today. Today we have with us Mr. Siddharth Shrivastava. He's pursuing his PhD in the Department of Artificial Intelligence in IIT Hyderabad. He's currently in his second year. He's a Google PhD fellow and his research domains include responsible AI, strategic learning, and generative modeling. Before coming to IIT Hyderabad, he has worked on diffusion-based generative models for enhancing urban driving segmentation at IIT Delhi and on medical image analysis at IIT Bombay. So thank you, Mrs. Siddharth Srivastava, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity. So I'll briefly, thanks for that introduction also. So I am Siddharth Shrivastava and I'm in my second year in the Department of Artificial Intelligence. And yeah, recently I have been working more onto the theoretical machine learning aspects, which include currently responsible AI domain. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you again for joining us today. And as a lot of our viewers may be interested in it, and it's a very pleasing thing, can you tell us the complete process of how you obtained a Google PhD fellow and what exactly its benefits are?
Yeah, sure. So Google PhD requires a research proposal. Uh, so there are three things which I list down, which are the most important. First, in the very first place, it comes research proposal. So in PhD, one general tip for anyone who is pursuing PhD, I would say to pursue a topic which is niche, which has not been explored much, which has the potential to be hot, not the topic which is currently ongoing as a hot topic. So choose a domain where which is not saturated and which has and people who are working there are comparatively less. Now, coming to the point, the requirements for Google PhDs are research proposal. So, your research proposal should be really means it should help Google in some sense. Even though being theoretical, it should align to the fact that at the end you are producing some social impact. Uh, the second thing is having research papers. So, in my BTech, I did my BTech from NIT Raipur. I had two papers published there. Although they were not top A-star conferences paper, but they were still IEEE recognized international conferences paper. And the last thing is there is a limit of getting LORs. So the max is 3 LORs, letter of recommendation from professors. So since I'm a joint PhD student in IIT Hyderabad, I got 2 LORs from my own supervisors and one more from the department. So yeah, so these are in some sense the priority. Your proposal should be unique. So there is also a saying in research like a unique problem. If you find a novel problem, half of the thing of your research is done. 50% of thing is done, and then you can give some solutions. So even if if you get into working onto the problems which have been done, then there is just cat and mouse race in which you just need to in which you just need to uh, chase the accuracy, beat the other one, and it just happens like you sometime end up just tuning the hyperparameters and doing the results which are not require that mental effort. So yeah, my suggestion would be consider taking a niche area. I can also tell here the topic of my research proposal was strategic learning, foundations of responsible AI, theory, algorithms, and social impact. So in a nutshell, in the research proposal, I was saying about my theory in which I'm working on. what all the things I will be working on. I s- uh, I had paragraphs in which I said there will be theory and then algorithms, the way it's going to be implemented. And then at the end, the Google products, right? So how it could be impacted for YouTube or how it could be impacted for in general Google Chrome engines. So yeah, I feel that research proposal was one of the core things. And yes, you should have in back one or two papers, research papers. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what uh, landed up. And also the benefits what you can get from Google PhD is that first of all in India there are two schemes. So there is direct entry and there is lateral entry. So like in PMRF we have direct and lateral entry. So here they say early stage and late stage. So in early stage the second year PhD student has to apply to the Google PhD fellowship, and they will be rewarded for 4 years of fellowship in which they will be given at a means at a stroke they will be given to the institution $50,000, and it's upon the institution how to divide it into stipends and how to use it for equipments or travel purpose. Later down the line, you will if a student from fourth year or fifth year is applying for generally fifth year, which has 1 year left. So in PhD, so they get in India $10,000 uh, amount as as the support from Google. The best thing which I said in Google PhD, which I like more than PMRF, is the fact that instead of getting just money, you also get one Google Research Mentor, which helps you a lot actually. So even building the connections, like people might know if you want to join, generally referrals are one of the things which helps. So it actually helps us to connect connections, means make connections, and their research experience also means helps us. So right now I'm about to get a Google Research Mentor, which I do not choose here, which is depending upon the mentor matching which Google does. So it's not upon my hand to choose one mentor from Google. They will do it for us. So I think this is the best best benefit which I feel of Google PhD, other than the monitoring needs which they provide. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. That was very informative. I think a lot of people hearing this should be interested towards that. And like I mentioned, and like you also mentioned, your main domain of research area is then responsible AI. Right.
Yeah.
Now, for our audience who are completely unfamiliar about the concept, can you just explain in a broad sense what exactly responsible AI is?
Yeah. So, responsible AI, if you make a one diagram, so it consists of other few other sub fields, which is known as robustness or explainable AI, the trustworthy AI. So I zoom in little more onto robustness. So the field on which I am working on. So it's known as strategic classification or strategic learning in some sense. So in a so it's a marriage between two fields, which is game theory and machine learning. So consider the fact that in a so I'm giving a very high level example. This is not uh, means I cannot put down in machine and do this particular example in the real time. But for the intuition purpose, I'm providing this example that consider there is a bank and it's providing loans to all the people. Now, people somehow got to know. So there are two players. One is bank, and the other player is all the general audience. Now, somehow general audience got to know what is the basis of classification of getting a loan or not. So what happens here is that bank says people who are more than 600 CIBIL score will get the loan, and people who are less than 600 CIBIL score will not get the loan. Now, the thing is, bank deploys this classifier based upon this knowledge. What people might do, they might inherently change their features or their information. They might get more credit cards, or maybe somehow they will try to manipulate in order to get improvement in their civil score. But everything requires a cost. It's not that a person who is with 200 or 300 civil score can jump into get 600 civil score. But let's keep a margin. Like there is a uh, in machine learning, there is a theorem known as no free lunch theorem, that everything requires a cost. So even so, let's consider that margin of 550 to 600 people, like who are just below 600. They might actually change their CIBIL score, try to manipulate the CIBIL score in order to get the benefit. So this is very on a very high level overview on the problem on which I'm working. So in a nutshell is the game. So the point is at I will be receiving. So people who work in deep learning might be also familiar with there is some similar task is there, which is known as adversarial perturbation. Like in which I give an image of panda and I just provide some noise onto it and it starts classifying it as cat. So, in a similar sense, at the test time, I'll get a manipulated input, a test input, but I have to make a model which is robust to that manipulated input. Now, an adversarial game, it's always a zero sum game. Means there is always a player which uh, means if a player one plays something for his purpose, means for his benefit, that means player two gets lower, that much lower. If a player wins by say two, uh, means in numerical value two plus two, player one gets. So player two gets minus two, but that generally that's not the case in real life. The utility might change, so they might not always add up to zero. So so yeah, briefly coming out of the picture, zooming it out, I work on the area in which I need to make a robust model, which is and now comes the other theoretical properties, like providing that whatever classifier I made, it's back learnable. Like it is, there is some concept in machine learning. I need to say, okay, it can be generalized to other field, like in that other test domains. So yeah, so the part of responsible AI comes in like even one of the other extended areas of responsible AI is responsible generative AI, which is one of the common extensions we can make. Like how to ensure that a generative AI model should not means how we can trust on the confidence. Like if a chat GPT or any Gemini, any LLM model provides us input, how much trust we can have, like how much confidence we can have, how much true is it? We can't naively accept it, right? So yeah, so it deals upon to the fact that knowing and relying on the fact we can put faith, like okay, I can trust this AI model and its answer. Yeah, that's what I want to that's what I'm working on the initial stages of my PhD. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. And hmm, so another question that I wanted to ask is that right now AI can create like amazing images and text on its own. Like it just needs a prompt and it does the work on its own. So like how is the human job, which was of being creative, how is that changing? Like instead of an AI just generating content based on the prompt that we provide, like how can it become an assistant to the human, where the human does the work and AI is just there for enhancing the human's work or just being kind of an assistant there?
Yeah, that's a good question actually. Um, the point is, if we see nearly everything, since it's being trained on such large amount of data, which we have not so that much big articles of Wikipedia or any number of the data sets, whatever they have, it's very humongous in some sense. So the fact is, the creativeness will come if we'll start changing a bit. So the point is, AI does everything. I would rate that we should know the core or the foundation or of anything. But in general, in practical tips I can provide, rather than using just as prompt and getting the answers, try this. Ask ChatGPT the questions, provide the topics, ask its relevant questions. Okay, what questions you can make out of it. So that in that way, it gives you a broad area. Okay, these are the fields which can be connected in some sense. The next thing would be ask its means try not to get, so it's a general tip, like try not to get the answer at the same time. Try to focus on the steps, like stepwise, not getting to the point, like just asking for the clue, hints, not getting to the answer straight away. But the creativeness will come from, so still now in mathematics, what I feel, the chat GPT is not very sure. Like the answers which it provides for the proofs or for the derivation, they are not appropriate currently in this particular stage, what I feel. So the fact is, any point, if we want to be more creative than AI in certain sense, I feel that we should know for a particular subject is core foundations. Anything, like you pick any subject, we should know the core foundations first. Because so I wanted to put this answer like the very height of research, consider research as a building or a creativity as a building. So the point is, the foundation lay its height. The how strong is your foundation, that much high is your creativity. So, in any area, these are the things where I personally feel mathematics lays the foundation of any general AI. So, anything which we are doing, which we are making into social impact, that is correct and that is very good. But at the end of the day, we need to stress upon the theoretical part of any subject. So, yeah, so I feel the creativeness will come more uh, from knowing the core foundations in some.
Okay, thank you. That was a really good answer. And I mean, you mentioned when I asked you about your domain of responsible AI that you cannot fully trust what the AI gives as a correct or a universally accepted answer. So, in the present age when we have so many videos and images online which are generated by AI, and it's becoming increasingly difficult day by day on recognizing what is real and what is AI generated. So, how is there any way that we can recognize it, or is there any way which could help people to tell the difference between what is real and what is AI generated?
Sure. So the point is here lies the fact that I used to work in computer vision. So I had one paper at that point, and I do not remember the exact name, but the paper title was Devil Lies in the Details. So the point is, every small particular details, like so this is just on the fact of quality perspective. Like if I just see one image, let's consider an image. How can I say it's real or fake? So if you zoom in, if you try to see in every reflections, what are the reflections there, or the jaws, or cheeks, or eyes, how they are, how they are constructed, you may find some difference at this stage. Still at this stage, I find on other perspective, the people or I think the LLMs who are generating those images, I feel a robust watermarking. Like you had some inherent watermarking in the image. Like if you generate a Gemini image currently, you might see there is a watermark label at the bottom left, right? Like those kind of things from the LLM models which are well renowned and generating the images. I would I would insist for them to have more robust watermarks in order to distinguish on the fly, is it a AI or is it a normal image. Other than that, there might be on the fields which I'm not very much into it, but crypto. So there is one cryptography field in which we encrypt and decode so the information. So maybe some information encrypted which into the image, which in some sense I'm trying to say as a watermark, which is very hard to decode it or to remove that from that image will be helpful. So yeah, particularly I have not worked right now into that. So but Those are my thoughts. Just overview of the thoughts, like how we can uh, make. So, in a nutshell, we want to make a deep fake detection in some sense. Like how? So, there could be pixel level instances, like somewhere down the line to just know uh, which pixel is it pixel wise correlated, like, and for an image, because right now you might be. So, I have worked most of my research area in computer vision. I have been less in natural language processing, which is the text formation and text generation. So currently, I may not be a very good fit for saying about NLPs at this stage, but those are my overall thoughts for the images, if we can see, like how to detect. Yeah, yeah, those are my overall
Okay.
thoughts.
Mm. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for that answer. And the next thing I'd want to ask is that for someone who wants a career focused on innovating human AI interaction, and someone who doesn't just want to implement models that already exist, so how much of an advantage would a PhD do for him instead of if he just wants to join the industry after his bachelor's or master's degree? Like how would you rate the significance of a PhD degree in this field?
Yeah. So as a growing field, I feel there are competitions going in, pumping in a lot. So the thing is, we need to be more creative. And I think PhD lays the foundation of creativeness. The point is, the only thing is you should have the zeal to work at the times when there are no one. There are times in PhD when we are completely independent. Like our guide will help us, but there will be times when we'll be alone. So we should pick the problem in which we are interested towards it. So the fact is, as I earlier mentioned, that height of the research, height of a building depends upon the strength of the foundations. PhD helps you to know you it helps you to give the freedom. You are getting some stipend, you are getting some economical help. But at the same time, there is no restriction from 9 to 5 job or 9 to 6 job. It just depends upon your feasibility, upon your timings. Like when you are learning well, if it's night, it's all right. If it's morning, it's all right. There is no restriction. Just that in some weekends, in some week time, you just need to make and update the supervisor. So what is this helpful? This is helpful in an institution. You can go and sit through the courses of maths. So you can take. I as a theoretical means a machine learning researcher, I emphasize a lot that take maths courses which are very different, which are not even slightly related to your work. Why? Because novelty comes with answer of what ifs. Like if I answer what if in that domain it is happening like this, can it be applied in my domain like this? That is one of the simplest trick to people to know. So I urge a lot people to take wide variety of maths courses. And then, as I said, there is no pressure of getting pointers. You are not going to overfit on the course and mug up the course in just order to get 10 or 9 in your CGPA. No, it is not required. You have a generalized model where you just learn the concepts and important to you and sort of like practice the questions. That is important. So recently, I'll tell one of the fact from my research. So I got one problem in my research in which there is no paper yet not published on that. And the fact is, there was one problem from a book. So a book is a very quite well-known book in machine learning for theoreticians are Understanding Machine Learning Algorithms by Ben David. So in that book, there was one exercise problem which was very closely related to my work. So you never know. Try to solve the problems as much as possible. And that problems, when I solved that problem, that actually helped me to solve to progress more into my research. So what coming back? So PhD helps you to give free time. Sometimes in PhD you might feel there are infinite time, like I do not need to do anything. And then at certain time it feels like there is no particular time, not even a second left, what I have done. So consistency is always greater than intensity in any case. In PhD as well, you have to be consistent. You have to be, whatever routine you follow, you have to be consistent. And then it bridge the gap of consistency and creativity. It helps you make more creative, be more creative, and get more uh, better novel problems as well as novel solutions by knowing clearly what is the foundations of. So, on the same, I can just give one more example to it. So, a generative modeling fields out there. People are just working on generative models. Um, I'll just give a quick note before starting into responsible AI. My thought was to move on into generative AI only. But with the discussions of my supervisor, I came into conclusion to go on to the responsible AI. So in a generative AI, there is one. A curious question would be, uh, in generative AI, where this model. So there are top four models. If I just name them, it's just variational autoencoder, generative adversarial networks, GANs, diffusions, and normalizing flow. On the top of the just the over the arc, I'm just saying these are the four models. Can anybody know like where this model come from? Is there a common root for all of them? If there is a common root of all of them, I could change that common root a bit and get a different generative model. So I'll just for the audiences, I'll just give one thing like here a field is known as mean field game theory. So I came across a paper there in which it says all diffusion variational autoencoders and normalizing flow can be act as a special case of a mean field game theory. That says a lot, right? Like what it means, like you get to know at the bottom of heart where these models are originating from. So rather than changing a problem in its superficial level, if I change the problem in its core foundation level, I could get something very different and completely different field. I'm sorry for
That.
this. Just give me a minute.
Okay, okay, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what my suggestion would be. PhD helps you gives the builds the foundation, gives you time for the creativity. Just be consistent and persistent. Rest will take take care of itself.
Okay. Okay. I'd like to ask one final question. As the fields of computer science, AI, machine learning, these are highly coveted branches as of now. Even people in any department of engineering, be them from computer science, mathematics, or AI, even in people in chemical, mechanical, all of them want to go into field of AI. But the institution may not always be able to provide them the courses necessary for that. So, what would you say that a student in the position where he doesn't get the courses provided to him by the institution, the courses that would be required to land a job in that field? Like, what kind of projects or what kind of courses or what kind of study format would you recommend to a student like that in order to put on his portfolio so that he can land a job in your domains, for example, generative AI or responsible AI? So, what roadmap would you lay out for a student like that?
Yeah. So if he doesn't have access, so we are reliving, I would say, one of the best area of learning. It's just dependent upon us if we want to learn more and grow more. So all thanks, yes, to LLMs. Exactly. You can so general thought is every coin has two sides. So the point is you can use it for a good purpose, you can also use it for not right purpose. But this can help you to build. So the thing is that LLM could be your certain guide. So you provide him. So the point is, number one thing which I got from my experiences is that rather than choosing the courses which are in social means platforms, uh, rather than known platform courses, I would rather used to say that choose courses of university, freely available university courses, first of all. If it's paid and if it's within your budget, I would say very nice and go ahead and took that courses rather than just taking the courses which are in other social media platform. That would be my advice. Why? Because the university courses are more rigorous, I would say. So it gives you again, it makes you more better in mathematics. And for the projects, now coming to the projects, I totally agree that practical implementations are also required. Again, there are university of courses which provides freely like what are the projects they have done to. If a person who is coming up into projects, I would first say just replicate the project. Take any project in the GitHub repo or in any of its. So again, in this vast areas of projects, rather than finding a novel solution, try to find a novel problem. Try to make a project which is solving a novel problem or less explored problem. Even you can just ready-madely use the deep learning model what has been used earlier. But if we see in the perspective of implementation and posting on it social media accounts, I would rather means it would be very helpful for people to solve the novel problems, novel which actually helps the society. So just for an example, I'll say in my BTech, I did one project in which I made back then in 2020. I I made 2019 or so. I made um, uh, a camera based currency denomination detection. Like for the blind people, I'll use a deep learning model. I'll integrate it in Raspberry Pi and had a camera over it. So it makes the user, it's not only for the currency denomination, but it acts as a guide, assistant. So current stage would be if if a specially able person is there, if he or she is not able to see. So these sort of ideas, which can directly impact the social human lives, that is very helpful for now on to work on. And again, as I said, for that, it's dependent upon the choice of persons to go onto this only application based or to go onto theory based. In this current era, I would recommend people to have a combination of mix of both. Just the applications and without knowing the theory may not be so helpful in the coming case. That's what my opinion is. In my opinion, that because what will happen is that because every people are finding the applications, everyone is going into the applications. If we see most of the cohort of people, so if we consider something of the knowledge as well, theory as well, that is one of the I see like best of both the worlds. Like even the theory and even the application, then the chances of getting hired in a very good company raises you a lot. So how to get now theory? So the best and the again the old school technique, the best thing is to go by books. Books PDFs are freely available mostly. In some cases you might need to pay, but in general free PDFs are available. Go through that. Let's suppose you didn't understand one chapter or one part of the chapter. Just go to any desired LLM, just ask me to explain this point or just give me a hint so that I can make. Rather than, that's how I take LLM models, rather than just telling me everything from start to bottom. Try not to hold down. So the thing is, you should be able to even work even when there are no internet connections. The point is, even if LLMs are not there, are you creative? Are you able to resolve that problem? You should not be dependent completely on LLMs. That's my purpose. That's my thing of saying. So, what happens when you just ask few questions like, what idea should I approach? Or what hint should I approach? You will see in 10 times, in 50 times, or in 100 times after a while, you will get to know, okay, these are the things which were required to know. And then you can move on without using any relevance for that thing. Also, I would say one general advice would be, if you are reading a course or if you are getting to a course, make a note of it. What are the first principles that you got to get to know from that course? They will be not more than, trust me, they will not be more than 50 or to 70. Max to max, I'm saying. Generally, it might end up in 30, 50. What this will help you is, if you take one course, after a while, even if you're not reading that course, you can just go through the book and just see, okay, this was the principle, this was the main principle. And and it helps you to connect fields. That's how you discover fields. Even discovering or inventing a field, it's in both ways, it's very helpful uh, for the theoretical perspective. And for the practical perspective, yes, uh, you have to find a novel problem, and then you need to again code a lot. So practice is what helps you here. Go through the reports and go through the implementations, what they have done. And in my uh, uh, the time in which I was coding for computer visions, there was no chat GPT back then. So I was not able to get a debugger, means like straight away if I put a code or Gemini, like to just get a debugging. In this current stage, I can just put the code and get the debug. But it wastes the whole point actually. It wastes the whole thing, that the creativity goes away like this. So I would say, uh, put some brainstorming sessions, means have a thing not to give up easily on a problem. The more time you invest onto the problem, the more you know about that problem, and it helps you wire your brain in a way that you become more so you're happy with getting not instant rewards. And that in life, in any field, that is very helpful. That sometimes people just want, okay, I want quick answers, I just want this. So there is a difference in research, or in I would say, even in getting and developing something. It's not 3 hours exam, it's not 5 hours or 1 hour exam, it's not time constraint, it is not. So you have ample amount of time. It's just that how much you are going to stay with that problem. The more you stay with that problem, the more you stay in coding or in maths, I would say it will help you more in building the creativity, and also building the fact that how to proceed further, make the fields, make new fields. And those people, for sure, short, will have a very high chance of being getting to an industry or even to an academia uh, for their good uh, career in future. Yeah, that's from my side. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Shrivastava. That was very informative. I also learned a lot of things because I was also interested in going into that field. So, okay, so that's pretty much it from my side. And thank you again for joining the talk. And I'd also like to add one more thing. As you said in your Google PhD fellowship, like you'd be soon be assigned a mentor from that side. I mean, we have a similar system in Tayog as well. We have a mentorship program in Tayog where people can volunteer to serve as a mentor for some course or as a guide. And anyone who's looking for a mentor can just go on the Tayog. We have a mentor section there. They can just go there and they can choose their own mentors from there, which which would then initiate a conversation between them, and they can take it from there. So that's one of the chief things that we do at Tayog. That's one of the new things that we have brought into Tayog.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
nice to know. Nice to know.
Mm.
Thanks for this information. And it was glad talking to you. Like, the questions were very informative, I feel. And it's, yeah, I would say again one quick point, that curiosity is the key for knowledge. So the more curious you are, and the more consistent you are, I think you will go in any area of life very high. And that leads to creativity. So three C's, straightforward: curious, consistent, leads to creativity. Yeah.
That was very beautiful. Thank you so much for that.